The air on the set was thick with tension, not just from the weight of the story being told, but from an almost palpable energy that seemed to envelop the cast and crew. This was no ordinary production. It was as if the boundaries between the script and reality had blurred, pulling everyone into the story they were trying to tell. For Jim Caviezel, who had taken on the role of Jesus, this wasn't just a performance, it was a journey into the depths of faith and suffering that would push him to his physical and emotional limits. In the early 2000s, Mel Gibson had envisioned something monumental, a cinematic retelling of the final hours of Christ's life that would resonate with raw authenticity. The idea wasn't just ambitious, it was revolutionary. A film told entirely in ancient tongues, drenched in realism, and unflinching in its portrayal of sacrifice and redemption. It was a project that no studio wanted to touch. Gibson, undeterred, poured millions of his own money into the vision, convinced that the story needed to be told, no matter the cost. From the very start, the production was fraught with challenges. Filming in the rugged landscapes of Matera, Italy, the crew faced bone-chilling winds, relentless rain, and conditions that seemed intent on testing their resolve. But it wasn't just the weather that made this journey extraordinary. Strange, inexplicable events began to unfold. As if the story of Christ's suffering was imprinting itself onto the reality of the set. Caviezel's portrayal of Jesus became more than acting, it was an act of endurance. During the crucifixion scenes, he endured physical injuries, his body marked by lashes from real whips. On more than one occasion, lightning struck the set, injuring both Caviezel and the assistant director, leaving the crew shaken. Whispers of divine intervention, or perhaps warning, began to circulate. Every moment on set seemed charged with a sense of destiny, as if something far greater than filmmaking was taking place. This wasn't just art imitating life. It was a convergence of the sacred and the inexplicable. In the beginning, a vision was placed upon the heart of a man. Mel Gibson, a storyteller and craftsman of moving images, was inspired to undertake a task as formidable as the tale he sought to recount. He resolved to bring forth the final hours of the Son of Man, Jesus Christ, not through imagination or embellishment, but with a fervent commitment to truth. His path, however, was not destined to be an easy one, for the telling of this sacred story would demand sacrifices of body, mind, and spirit. The vision was clear, the word would be spoken in the ancient tongues of Aramaic, Latin, and Hebrew, as it had been centuries before. Yet the world of men was unprepared for such authenticity. Actors capable of embracing these languages were few, and the lands chosen to reflect Jerusalem of old were harsh and unyielding. Matera, Italy, a place of rugged cliffs and unforgiving winds, was to serve as the stage for this divine drama. In this wilderness, where elements conspired against those who labored, the journey began. Before a single scene was captured, the world raised its voice in protest. Critics spoke of violence too raw, depictions too graphic, and narratives that might provoke division. Religious leaders expressed concern, fearing the interpretation might sow discord. Yet Gibson stood firm, declaring, "This is not for the faint of heart, it is for those who seek the truth." He poured his own fortune into the work, 30 million pieces of silver. No studio would shoulder the burden of such a daring endeavor. Among those called to walk this path was Jim Caviezel, chosen to bear the likeness of Jesus. Gibson, with wisdom and caution, warned him, saying, "If you take this upon yourself, you may be cast out of the world of men. You may endure ridicule and rejection, for such is the way of truth." Caviezel, pondering these words, sought counsel in solitude. On the following day, he returned and proclaimed, "I will carry this cross. My initials are JC, and I am 33 years old. It is no coincidence. I was made for this." Thus began the days of trial. The cameras rolled, and the sacred story came to life. Yet the tribulations that beset them were unlike anything they had foreseen. As Jesus carried his cross to Golgotha in the film, so too did Caviezel bear the weight of the role in reality. The elements themselves seemed to rebel against the endeavor. Winds howled like a lamentation, rain fell as tears from the heavens, and the biting cold pierced the flesh of those who labored. But these trials were but the beginning. In the midst of their toil, the inexplicable began to unfold. Lightning struck the set, not once, but twice. And it fell upon Caviezel as he hung upon the cross, and upon the assistant director, Jan Michelini, as he worked to bring the vision to life. Each emerged shaken but unbroken. And many among the crew began to whisper of a presence beyond their understanding. Caviezel's sufferings mirrored those of the Savior he portrayed. During the scourging scenes, the whips, though guided by men, left real wounds upon his back. Blood mingled with the sweat of his labor, and his body bore the marks of the passion. When he carried the heavy wooden cross through the rugged terrain, his shoulder dislocated under the weight, and yet he pressed on, as if driven by a force greater than his own. These tribulations were not limited to the physical. Spiritual stirrings began to awaken in the hearts of those present. Pedro Cerrubi, who played Barabbas, recounted a moment that left him trembling. When he gazed upon Caviezel in the role of Jesus, he felt as though it were truly the Christ standing before him. There was no hatred in his eyes. Cerrubi said, "Only mercy and love, a gaze that pierced my soul." The transformation did not end with Cerrubi. Luca Lionello, who portrayed Judas Iscariot, began the production as a declared atheist. Yet by the film's conclusion, his heart was moved, and he embraced the faith he once denied. He confessed his sins, sought baptism for his children, and became a new man. Even a Muslim crew member, witnessing the power of the story and the events that unfolded, chose to walk the path of Christianity. Among the most mysterious occurrences were the apparitions reported by some on the set. Figures dressed in white, whose presence brought peace and guidance, appeared to offer counsel during critical moments of filming. Yet when the production ended, these figures were nowhere to be found, leaving behind only questions and awe. The crucifixion scene, the pinnacle of the film, became a crucible for all involved. It spanned 5 weeks of the 2-month schedule, each day a grueling testament to the cast and crew's resolve. Caviezel, weakened by the trials, later required open-heart surgery to repair the toll exacted upon his body. Reflecting on the experience, he said, "This was never about me. I prayed that when people saw the film, they would not see Jim Caviezel, but Jesus Christ." Through their sufferings, a profound sense of purpose united those involved. What had begun as a cinematic endeavor transformed into a spiritual journey. Mel Gibson, reflecting on the challenges, declared that the trials were no accidents but tests of faith, designed to strengthen their resolve and deepen their understanding of the story they sought to tell. When the film was released to the world, it became more than a work of art. It was a testament to the power of faith, the endurance of sacrifice, and the redemptive love of Christ. Audiences wept, hearts were moved, and lives were changed. In the words of John 3 verse 16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life." The tale of the Passion of the Christ stands as a reminder of the price paid for humanity's salvation, both on the screen and behind it. It is a call to faith, a challenge to endure, and an invitation to embrace the love that was poured out for all. Let those who hear this story remember the sacrifices made, not only by those who told it, but by the one who lived it. For his love endures forever.